Hello, this is Lynn Madishan from Madishan's Herbals. It has been quite a wild couple of weeks for me, at any rate. We've had Mercury went retrograde. Ours are hard for me, and I was born during a Mercury retrograde, and so typically they're not tough on me. But for whatever reason, this one, the last two have been really, really hard, and so we've had a lot of chaos, and that's why I haven't seen you very much over the last 2 weeks because life has been just ridiculously chaotic. I just dropped my notes as well. So Monday I had to get a new refrigerator because mine died Sunday night, and that ended up being an entire day-long proposition, and that's why we didn't do Monday. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to talk about moon magic, and we've got a fun event coming up on Saturday, the blue moon, and so I thought this was a real good time to maybe address moon magic and what it is and how you do it and why you do it. So moon magic is a type of sea magic, of water magic. The moon is what dictates the tides, the gravitational pull. And we are primarily water, so not only does it dictate the oceans and the seas, but it also dictates a lot of our behaviors as it moves up and throughout the lunar cycle. So if you talk to people who are first responders or hospitals and things like that, they'll tell you that they know when it's the full moon because people go a little bit crazy, that the emergency rooms are always filled, and it is on the full moon, and they're filled with people that have done just kind of really strange things. It is Saturday. Halloween is is a full moon. It is a blue moon, and the blue moon is the second full moon in a calendar month. It is the moon isn't going to be blue. It is, and I'm not quite sure why whoever named it Blue Moon named it Blue Moon, but um, the last time that we had a full moon on Halloween was 1944, and the next one after Saturday will be in 2039, so it doesn't happen very often. Blue moons happen about every 2.5 years. Um, so it's not something that's terribly common either, although, every 2.5 years isn't like it's never. But the moon is feminine and is a symbol of the goddess. It is, we will typically associate the moon with one of the triple goddesses. Um, there's a lot of triple goddesses. That means that she shows in all three forms: the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And so the maiden is the waxing moon, the mother is the full moon, and the crone is the waxing moon. So as the moon gets bigger, that's the waxing, the maiden ages and becomes ultimately the mother, and then the mother ages into the crone. Now, there's been some questions recently in some of the Facebook groups about at what point in time do you transfer from maiden to mother to crone. And it is in the olden days, a young woman or a young girl was a maiden until she started her menstrual cycles, her moon cycles. Once she became of childbearing age, then whether or not she had a child, she was still considered a mother. And once she was no longer able to bear children, then she became a crone. Now, with modern times and modern medicine and hormones in our food. Our young girls are starting their moon cycles much younger. I mean, as young as 10, and and they don't have the experience that a mother would have. So at that point, um, it's kind of changed, and it just becomes like an arbitrary age of whatever it is that you think you move um, into that knowledge of motherhood. And it's the same with hysterectomies and other life-changing activities that you could have a hysterectomy at age 25 and you don't have the experience that a crone does because you haven't lived that long. And so that's where then there are no hard and fast rules anymore about what it is that makes a maiden a mother and a mother a crone. It is so now I kind of that's just explaining the waxing and the waning moon. Now the new moon is kind of a fun thing too because there's a group of people that consider the night before a new moon a dark moon, and that's when you see no moon at all. Um, if you generally with a new moon you can see a very thin crescent. Um, so oftentimes there are people that think that the dark moon should be used for divination and connecting with spirit meditation and not other kinds of magic. I think personally that the dark moon is a fine time to do banishing magic. Now, banishing doesn't necessarily mean banishing a person, although it can, that you don't want somebody in your life any longer, but it also is banishing bad habits and anything that you no longer want in your life. And that's a good time to do the, the the dark moon is a good time to do that. The new moon is a good time to start new intents, and that's what we do when we do our moon cycle, our moon rituals. For the new moon, we create our intent for the next month, and that's what is it's a time for new beginnings. Now, some things that you can do during the new moon is you can, like when we were in the parks, where we would take um, our offering and we would put our intent into it, and then we would throw it into the water. Another thing you can do is make a new moon candle, where it's a candle where you would put it. It'd be a jar candle, so it's a candle that's in a jar, and then you would put what your goals and what you want in pictures. You can do it with magazine pictures. You can do it with sigils. You can put anything on it that you recognize the sign for, and then burn the candle starting at the new moon, and that sends your goals and intents out. Another thing that you can do is a prosperity check, where you take a check and you write it out to yourself, and instead of a money, you put what you want in terms of your goal. Now, maybe your goal is money, and I need a new roof, so that would be, I would probably put, rather than a sum of money, I would put, I want a new roof, because then that opens it up to other opportunities beyond going and finding a roofer. And it's so you want to make sure that when you write your prosperity check, what you do is make it broad enough that you're not limiting your options. The um, the waxing moon after the new moon is when the moon grows. That's the time from the new moon to the full moon, and that's when you do growing magic, um, something that you want to build, and it is if you need to do magic and it's the wrong time of the lunar cycle, what you can do is word your intent a little bit differently. So if you are if it's the waxing moon, and you want money or you want friends, you would write, okay, I want new friends to come into my life. If it's the waning moon and you're doing banishing magic, instead of saying what it is that you want in terms of I want new friends in my life, what you would say is I want to banish loneliness. The end result is the same. There's new people in your life because you are now no longer lonely. You just have to word your intent correctly. Now, the thing is this. You can actually do magic anytime without corresponding with the moon. But you're making it harder for yourself because the moon is making things grow and making things vanish. And if you get in on that, it's like you're riding the waves of the tail of the moon. And so the moon is putting the energy into it, you're putting the energy into it, so you don't have to work quite as hard. It is, now if it's something that needs to be done right now and you cannot figure a way to go ahead and word it to work with the moon, go ahead and do what you're doing. But just know that it might be a little bit harder than what you're doing. So the full moon is one of the most powerful moon phases, although the dark moon is also. And it is the moon is full size. Magic includes love and healing, protection, intuition, dreams, connecting with the gods and the ancestors, reaching your fullest potential, and it is also a good time to release what you no longer want, because that is the night before the banishing magic, the waning magic, where that gets the real strong magic from the full moon moving straight into the waning moon, which will help move things along. If you are so I guess the question is, what can you do with moon magic? And you can do anything with moon magic. Anything that you're doing to grow or to banish. It is it's a different way. You could do candle magic as well, and it's it depends on what is your magic of choice. I do a lot of moon magic. I do a lot of candle magic. It depends on what it is that I'm looking for my end result to be. One of the things that I do on the full moon in particular, is I put out my crystals and let the crystals be charged by the moon and cleansed by the moon. And that way they're always nice and bright and ready to do their magic as well. The other thing that you can do, and I think most people, I don't know that that's true or not, but I know generally I will make moon water on the full moon. Now the thing is, you can make moon water at any time of the moon cycle. What you want to do is make sure that you label it so you know what it is. If it's full moon water, it's very powerful, and it is very strong and is open to pretty much all magic. If you do a if you do it on the waning moon or the dark moon, that the energies that the moon gives that water are banishing energies, and so you're not going to want to use dark moon or waning moon water if you're doing a prosperity spell, because the water's going to fight with you in terms of it wants to banish and you're trying to create prosperity. So then you're not aligning the energies properly. So the new moon will give you good prosperity and good growth. The banishing moon, the waning moon, will help with banishing. If you use water on a moon that has a lunar eclipse, that is reset water, the reset energy. And if you do the blue moon it is stronger than a regular full moon because it only happens every 2.5-ish years. It is, all you need to do to make moon water, if you haven't, is use either glass or something reflective. Put water in the in whatever your vessel is. I have a pewter bowl that looks, it's not silver, it's pewter, but it has a silver shine, so it's still reflective, and so I oftentimes will use that. And actually, most new moons, it's on my altar, so because that's where I put my offering, in that bowl of water to take out typically. The It is, but then when you bring it in, obviously you're not going to want to keep it in a bowl. You're going to put it in a vessel of some nature. I've got some bottles that I put mine in, and I use glass. I don't put it in plastic unless I happen to be moving it to a park or something, and I'm afraid that the glass will break. But even at that point, it's put in the plastic just before I leave, and if I don't use all of it, then I'll put it back in the glass. So you put your water in your vessel and leave it out where the moon will shine on it, and imbue its energies into it. Now the thing is also, you need to get it first thing in the morning and bring it back in. You don't want to leave it out for days, okay? Because then it also is charged by the sun, and then it isn't pure moon water. So you want to bring it in. I've been asked throughout the years several times about what happens during the winter here in the Northwest, where a great many times we've got overcast skies and you don't even see the moon. And it is, we don't need to see it to feel it. It is out there, because it might be behind clouds, but clouds aren't like a brick wall. There's still some light that comes out. Otherwise, it would be, darker than the inside of a hat. So even if you don't see the moon's energy is out there. And if you have not done a lot of moon magic, or if you haven't even gone out a lot with the moon, go out periodically through the next cycle, the next moon cycle, and look at how you feel. So look at the moon. I tell you, coming home from work tonight, the moon was up, and there were clouds in front of the moon, but it was almost more like a haze as opposed to clouds. It was beautiful, and it looked like a photograph rather than the regular what you see when you look up at the moon. So I actually stood out in my yard for a few minutes and just let the moon shine on me, and hopefully clear out some of the retrograde that has been at my feet all the next bit of time. The Mercury will go direct on November 3rd on Election Day, which is kind of an interesting thing. I don't do politics, but I am going to encourage you to go out and vote if you haven't already. It's a good thing to do. It is, so, what are you going to use your moon water for? All right, so you can add a cup of moon water to your bath throughout the month, and if you're doing a ritual bath, and bring that extra energy of the moon in to cleanse or to heal. You can put it in a spray bottle and spritz around your altar and around the house, and that also has some cleansing properties. You can use it to wipe down your magical tools, to cleanse and charge them at the same time. It can be used as an offering to the goddess by putting it in a bowl on the altar. Typically, it's moon water that I use when I'm casting my circle, and that is on the second circle, the second time around the altar. That's generally moon water, so I'm going to be getting moon water on Saturday as well. You can put it over your head and wash your hair in moon water to awaken your psychic abilities. You can put a cup in your laundry detergent with your laundry to enchant your clothing. And you can wash your floors with moon water also, and that brings more magical things in as well. So, we talked about the blue moon. There is also such a thing called the black moon. Now, the black moon is the second new moon in a calendar month, and that happens about every 32 months. So the next one is going to be April 30th of 2022, and then that's when we'll have the second one for that. Now, the moon has correspondences just like anybody else and anything else, and so if you're doing moon magic, sometimes you can use herbs or trees, stones that are for moon magic. And I've got a list here of stones and flowers and herbs and trees. And I think what I'm going to do is, because it's a pretty good sized list, I will wait, and tomorrow I will put it on the comments of this one. I have a bigger keyboard at the shop, and so I'm going to do it at the shop where it's not as hard as putting it on my telephone. And so if you are interested in those will be there. I think I need a clock in my magic room here, because it's real hard for me to tell what time it is, and so I'm not even sure what time I started this, if it was on time or if I was early or late. So I think that's what I need to do, is get a clock in here so that I can see. We'll be doing the full moon ritual on Saturday. Now, so what we're doing on Saturday, it's going to be a little more comprehensive than what we typically do. All right, because we're going to do the full moon. We're going to celebrate the end of harvest, because that's the end of harvest for the season. Typically, if anything that is not harvested by the 31st is left in the garden for nature to take back. And then we're going to do an ancestor ritual. So what you will need to have for this Samhain ritual, for the full moon, you'll need to have your release, the regular release that we write and we burn. For the end of harvest, if you did with me the Litha ritual, and if you made a Spirit of the Harvest or a corn dolly, you want to bring those with you, because we're going to burn them. And for your ancestor ritual, you are going to want to have some memories of your ancestor. We're going to, so that it reminds you. So I've got something here from my mom. It's on my altar right now. My mom, it's a unicorn bell. My dad is a ring that he made, and my sister is a cowboy boot. And my other sister is a blown glass ornament that she made and blue. So they're sitting on my altar right now to be blessed. If you're going to light candles with me, you want a red, a black, and a white candle. And I think if you can get a ribbon that is a red, a black, and a white ribbon, or 3 pieces of yarn. You don't need much, okay? So, 6 inches, 8 inches, that'll be fine. And we'll do some knot magic. It won't be the same knot magic as we made earlier on in the summer, in July. This will be a smaller piece, and it'll be for your ancestors. So that's what we're going to be doing. I thank you very much for joining me tonight for the moon magic. I hope it was some information that you didn't know and you needed. And I will hopefully see you on Samhain. I will be at the shop from noon until 5, and I will have trick-or-treat candy. So if you bring your kids, they can get a trick-or-treat. So thank you so much. You take care, and blessed be.